we're talking about where we're headed in 2022. And by that, I don't mean vision as a church. We'll get there. I don't mean New Year's resolutions about losing weight or getting more fit or kicking some habits. That has its place. But where I'm talking about is just generally, how are we to live in this world for the glory of God? We have a lot of talented people at Rabbit Creek Church musically. I love music, and there is a verse that I'm going to read to you that many years ago when I tried to play the guitar, there's a song that came out of this verse that I am not going to play for you. But it is the words of Micah chapter 6, verse 8, which, at least as they taught me, it only takes 3 chords on a guitar to sing. But again, I'm not going to do that for you today. I just want you to listen to the words of Micah in chapter 6, verse 8. He says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God." Some older translations there at the beginning of verse 8, instead of "O mortal," says "O man." And I like "O mortal" because not just that it's talking to men and women, but also it's a reminder that we don't, at least on earth, live forever. We are eternal in the sense that we have spirits. God is going to allow those of us who love and serve Him to live with Him eternally. And that's a wonderful way to be immortal. But as far as why we're here on this earth, we are immortal. So I like the reminder right at the beginning of the verse that you've got limited time here. So how are you going to live this limited time? And so what Micah does is he offers us a question. He says again, "And what does the Lord require of you?" So it's this rhetorical question. He's getting his hearers, this prophet is, getting them to think, what is it that the Lord requires of you? If I were to pause here and ask you the same question, how would you answer that? How would you answer, what does the Lord require of you? What is the Lord's expectation? How is He calling you to live for Him? I think there's a multitude of answers. Micah chapter 6, verse 8 is not the only answer. But Micah 6:8 is a powerful answer to how we are to live for God. And again, I want you to take these verses as those things that will move you into the next year and help highlight the way you live for God. What is that last part? What's the answer to the prophet's question? It says to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Working backwards, this does not happen without God. You can't act justly, you can't walk humbly, you can't love mercy, you can't do anything like that in the way God wants you to without Him. Because deep down, we're not just people. We are unfair people. We don't always judge fairly. We don't always love the way we should love. We don't always show mercy in the way we should show mercy. We don't always act humbly when we should act humbly. So with God, we need to do this. And with God, we need to do these things, to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. What does it mean to act justly? Another way to think of that is act fairly. So in your endeavors in 2022, act fairly. If you're an employer, treat your employees correctly. If you're an employee, treat your employers with respect and do the job you've been assigned to do. If you're a person in finance, be honest with your finances. And let's be real, all of us deal with finances. So let's be honest with those things. If you have an opportunity to have personal gain and it hurts your brother or sister, don't go for that personal gain. That's what it means to act justly. Not only in the legal sense, but in everyday sense. Then also, love mercy. Now we might think we are lovers of mercy, but there's something within us in our broken nature where we don't always like mercy. Sometimes we really like revenge. Will you be honest enough to say that's true about yourself? I know it is. Whether it's just simply getting back at the person that cuts you off in traffic, or whether it's just making sure that you always win. I don't know what it looks like for you, but have mercy. Be able to say to the person who is in need of care and love that you care for them and that you love them. Show them mercy. One of the great ways you can do this, by the way, is to show forgiveness. And then he goes on to say this last thing. He says to walk humbly. We don't, in other words, want to go around strutting our stuff. We need to go around and be humble. And in my book that we're going to talk about in the next coming weeks, I talk about how humility doesn't mean making yourself less. It just means that you have a true, honest evaluation of yourself and then live in light of that. So you don't exalt yourself, nor do you degrade yourself. You just accept who you are and live in that realm. And so think of that in this year. How are you going to live with who you are? Not more, not less, just who you are. So, how do you live for God? Let's start with this one verse. Micah chapter 6, verse 8. Thanks so much for watching, and let's have a great end of this year. Come back next week, because it's a very important time next year as we do a study through the ordinary way.